Uh, Good evening, members. Today we have a seminar on audit quality maturity model on bank audits. So the quality is very important. So recently we all know that our bank audit opportunities are reduced due to the coverage of advances. So with this, without the quality of the reports, so we cannot sustain these levels also. So that this seminar quality. Audit quality maturity model seminars are organized by the SIRC. Today we have Mr. Morgan R. Levy. He's a qualified chartered accountant in 1989. He has over 25 years of experience in the industry across a variety of industries. He has worked in senior position in finance and manufacturing and software companies. Morgan also has over 6 years of experience in practice at present. He is a partner with Mrs. KP Rao and Co. Chartered Accountant, Bangalore, and head the Ind AS and GST practice of the firm. Morgan is the author of the books on IFRS, Ind AS, key audit matters, and other related topics. Morgan has spoken at various conferences in India and abroad on accounting standard IFRS, Sarbanes-Oxley, and GST, and is faculty member with the Institute for their IFRS certification course and register valuer programs. His articles appears frequently in the Hindu Business Line, Deccan Herald, and Bombay Chartered Accountant journals. Sir, I am happy to introduce you for the today's webinar, sir. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Arun. Thank you for that introduction. Let me just see if I can put the screen on page. Yeah. Okay, and so good evening to all the participants. Thank you, Arun, for that kind introduction. And you were saying that this is we will be speaking on this AQMM, particularly for the bank audit. First of all, as Arun was saying, I will re-emphasize the fact that nowadays audit quality is important. Whether you're doing branch audit, whether you're doing central statutory audit, whether you're doing any audit, this audit quality is becoming a discussion point amongst the people who are interested to raise this topic of audit quality. ICAI, for its part, has given a revised version of the AQMM. Though I will tell at the outset that the AQMM, they are saying that it is not applicable for a bank branch audit. They are saying it is not applicable for a bank branch audit. But I don't think the day is very far off when they will slowly start introducing some provisions for the bank branch audits also. Having said that, I can emphasize upon all the participants and need not emphasize also the participants that the requirement today. So if you look at, my first question is always going to be why AQMM? And many participants may also have this question: why do you require audit quality and the maturity model and all for a bank audit, which you have been doing for years? Maybe you have got the same set of bank and probably a different branch this year. You only probably get a different branch this year. You all know the bank's policies. You all know the bank's, what you can possibly call as their culture, and basically a lot of things about that particular bank. But why is it that we are talking about the audit quality maturity model for a branch, especially for a bank audit? I think there are a couple of reasons why this becomes important. One is that whatever people may say, whatever you may say about all this non-provisioning of assets and NPA norms and all those things, I think one thing we will have to get very clear is the fact that if at all there is a problem in a branch, in a bank, it emanates at a branch level, especially for the NPA problems. There will always be it will emanate only at the branch level. And who better than the branch manager to sort of, and the branch auditor, to sort of come to some sort of agreement on what that NPA status of that particular account actually is. The second and probably the more important factor is that as we are seeing, in a very general trend, whether it is right or whether it is not is a judgmental issue. But many people are now questioning the role of auditors in many things. And they're saying, what are the auditors doing? What were the auditors doing in this particular thing? This is a a very large question which can percolate down to the branch audit. It can go up to central statutory audit. It can also go on to a corporate audit also. But even for the limited purpose of a, let us say, a branch audit also, they are going to probably ask this question: what was auditor doing? Did he not provide for this particular sector? The present environment seems to have necessitated a need for us to maintain a certain level of audit quality in any assignment we are doing. I will also, go to the extent of telling all the participants that yes, we have certain audit quality, we have got certain checklists, we have got certain procedures. It is not that we go blind into a audit, any audit for that matter. We have got certain procedures, set procedures are there. For a bank audit, for example, you all know what is to be done. It's not a new thing for many of the professionals who are going for bank audits now. So it's just that they are expecting us to take that one step further to maintain a certain level of audit quality. What is that we look at as we move along? So need for a discussion on audit quality arises because of the environment today. Suddenly, a lot of demands are being put on the profession. Suddenly, all the regulators are looking at saying what the profession has been doing. What are the, the role of the profession as being, I won't say questioned, but there seems to be an expectation which is coming up from the profession more than anything else. This is a question which I'm sure that all of you all will definitely try and answer. Is a bank audit only about NPAs and LFAR? To a large extent, the answer to this question is probably only yes, because you do spend a lot of time only on provisioning for NPAs and filling up that long form report, which is a pretty detailed document by itself. Provisioning for NPAs, you've got the IRAC norms. You know what the IRAC norms are. RBI has been given, post-COVID, there have been a lot of circulars which have come. The banks themselves are giving instructions to their branches on how to deal with these RBI circulars. What is to be provided for restructured accounts? What do you do for those accounts wherein a restructuring package has lapsed and the account has come back into a normal category? All these things are there in a form of instructions given by the head office, given by the by the RBI and all these things. So a good portion of your time is going to be spent on these two areas. And these two areas, I can tell the participants here, that require that much more attention on audit quality. We can, sort of multiply examples about how audit quality should be maintained, how documentation should be maintained, how assumptions should be maintained, how judgment should be maintained. But I'm going to restrict myself to only a couple of examples here. Let us say that post-COVID, there was one account in a branch which you are auditing, wherein there has been some restructuring which has happened. October 2021 was supposed to be the end of that particular restructuring. The borrower himself has come out of that restructuring account. He has said that I've got that, moratorium period. I've availed the moratorium for it. Now I want to be in the regular. The bank also has agreed upon this, and there is a certain level of transactions in the account. A certain level of transactions in the account. And let us assume that post the moratorium and post the restructuring, the account has adhered to the RBI norms. It has not gone back into a NPA category. To the extent possible, the borrower has been keeping up his commitments, and therefore, as on 31st March 23, a need for an additional provisioning was probably not felt necessary by the branch manager. Now, you have been appointed as a branch auditor for this particular branch. You look at this account, you look at all what has happened there, you look at the history of what has happened in the past, look at the restructuring, look at the morat period, look at more post-morat credits here, and you come to the conclusion that yes, what the bank manager has been saying is probably correct, and you agree with the classification saying that no further provision for NPA is required because the account has maintained its requirement as per the RBI circulars. So far, so good. So there is absolutely no need for you to worry about the fact that you have to provide additionally for this account and all those things. What the AQMM will expect from you all is to document this. What the AQMM will probably expect from you all is to document the fact that this was an account. It could be an account wherein some provisioning has happened in the past. It could be that the account has additional collateral has been given by the borrower. whatever it may be, the AQM will demand that this documentation, this recording of this particular NPA, and the fact that it has come to a normal situation today is documented properly. This you all can do for the top 10 accounts in the branch, you can do for the top 20 accounts in the branch, it depends on how big the branch is. Please document this. And when I say document this, I am talking about the fact that document what conclusion you have reached as an auditor. Don't worry about what the branch manager has done. He has already done what he has to do, either provide or not provide. What are your conclusions as an auditor? Have you reached a conclusion agreeing with the manager or disagreeing with the manager? For both, you'll have to give reasons. This is one way the AQMM can probably help you all to do this thing. So it says that please document. This is not a requirement. This is also a requirement from the auditing standard 230, SC 230, but also from the AQMM. LFAR. We know how to respond to LFAR questions. We've got standard templates now. We've got plausible responses now. We know that the LFAR is a document which gives a lot of summary information about the particular branch in question. The central statutory auditors, I'm talking about a situation when you are the branch auditor. The central statutory auditor skims through all the LFAR reports. He sort of takes into account, they sort of take into account what are the important, observations made. And if there are some significant observations, it will probably come into the main LFAR of the branch of the head office itself. So what is important again is how you word that LFAR, how you put in your point, how you stress that point. Again, this is a takeoff from the audit quality maturity model. Again, this is something which came up yesterday in the newspapers. The audit firm is saying that they are standing by the audits of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. Now, I am forced to give only examples abroad because thankfully the RBI has not done anything for not allowed any bank runs to happen in India. Now, why I put this out was a very interesting situation. See, Silicon Valley Bank was a bank which failed because of their risk management policy. Their deposits were paying a higher interest and their investments were paying a lower interest. Classical asset liability mismatch. Now, the audit firm has said that they stand by the audits. Actually, nobody asked them. Nobody asked them the question, do you defend your audit? They themselves have come up and said that before anybody asks, I tell this question saying that we feel that our audits are, there was no fraud there. So the audit firm need not have given this statement at all. There was no fraud. There was no need for them to, come out with the statement and say that, this is what we have done. But that is why I'm talking about the present environment. We are forced to give explanations even when they are not called for. Now, tomorrow there's an investigation. The Federal Reserve is going to investigate this Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank and all these things. Credit Suisse is also in a situation. Credit Suisse also I'll show you all. So I will, I think it is there. Somewhere there it is there, right? So you see here, do you have a going concern memo, the audit file? What is the evidence you took for going concern memo? This is a question being asked from the auditor of Silicon Valley Bank. Now, you please understand that has he even noted the fact that, the Silicon Valley Bank auditor, has he even noted the fact that going concern was threatened? We do not even know that. That is the unfortunate part. As I said, it was an asset liability mismatch. But that is what has happened today in the environment. People are expecting these responses to come. People are giving these responses even without probably being asked for those responses. The other part of it, which is equally important, is the fact that, okay, this is just something which has been, okay, so why is this AQMM important? Now, as members will probably be aware, the AQMM has got a lot of questions. I am not going to repeat the entire AQMM here. I have taken only those which I feel are critical and which are important from a bank audit perspective. Only those questions and the marks which are added to those questions, I'm going to discuss. That's all. Because you cannot have the entire 600 marks for a bank audit because, say, for example, HR policies. I really do not know how much of weightage you should give to that in the bank audit, because we know who's going to go for the bank audit. I cannot have specific HR policies only for a bank audit. So I've culled down those questions and I'm only going to discuss those questions which I feel are important from the bank audit. But of course, I will also tell the participants that I've got an Excel file which has the entire AQMM model. I will share that with you all at some point of time required later, or I'll share it with the branch SIRC and they can probably give it to all the members. They are saying it's a capacity building measure to self-evaluate current levels of maturity. You may have some qualities or competencies, you may not have some competencies. The idea behind this AQMM is that we are not trying to, the AQMM is not trying to find faults in the audit firm's work. Not saying you are not a good branch auditor, you are not a good central statutory auditor. You're not trying to come to those conclusions. They are saying that, okay, you are there. These are the areas where you can improve. This is where you all can improve as a branch auditor, as a central statutory auditor, as the case. This is a self-evaluation technique. In the Excel file, which I'm going to give to the SIRC, you all will find I've got those marks there. You all can put the marks which you all feel are required, depending upon your firm's responses to those particular questions being asked. The only issue which we have to think about, and which should probably concern us, is the fact that we have been informed that this will be a part of your peer review certificate. The AQMM score would be a part of your peer review certificate here. So this immediately brings into question the fact that your peer reviewer could choose a few files, he could choose a number of files, he could probably choose a sample of all those files which are going to be a part of the peer review. In which case, branch audits may also come into the picture. In which case, you have to apply the same AQMM requirements or quality requirements for the branch audit also. So this is a very important aspect which you all should also think about and worry about from the point of view of, as I said, okay, it's a self-evaluation measure. Please think about what you all can do for the purpose of getting these answers right. The work being okay, I'll not worry about all these things. I look at what has happened in the US also, but let's not worry about that US right now. In India, we've got the peer review board, we've got the FRLB, we've got the NFRA also coming to the picture now. So, but of course, only for listed companies, I'm not going to worry about all these things. All the firms have got audit files, as I said earlier also. Quality is there, but can be improved is a question we have to answer thinking of this AQMM model. And I think most important question is going to be, can we defend the audit? Now, when I'm using this word called can we defend the audit, please don't mistake me. I'm not saying this in a negative manner. I'm not saying that you did not do a good audit at all. All I'm saying is that, is your documentation, on the basis of your documentation, on the basis of your files, on the basis of the work done by you, even if questions are asked 2-3 years down the line, will you all be able to give a satisfactory response? That is what we mean by defending the audit. By defending the audit, we only mean to say that this is what we will have to think about. If questions do come, if questions are asked, can you all defend the audit? This is a very interesting thing which happened. This is, we are talking about, Credit Suisse, which a bank which came in from Credit Suisse. Again, you can see here that there are some issues with. Now, this is again a very interesting situation. You see, what has happened here is that this is a very large Swiss bank, as all of you are aware. Last year, internal control of financial reporting, clean report done by the management, given by the auditor also. This year, 2022, they are saying that last year's report was wrong. There have been weaknesses. So this is revision of our previously issued consolidated financial statements. And the auditor also seems to have combined, or the auditor also seems to have agreed with this particular point of view and said that yes, there's internal vehicle control. Our previous report was not effective. So last year we have changed it. You can see how things are changing in this present situation. They have had a situation, probably the most unique situation of having to change an ICFR report. Probably never happened. I have not heard of it, at least in my career, but recently came across yesterday or day before yesterday in Credit Suisse. But let's not worry about Credit Suisse. We have to worry about your Indian bank and Indian overseas bank here. This AQMM is applicable from 1/4/23. It is not a standard. It is not a law. It is not an accounting standard. It's not an auditing standard. It's not a guidance note. It is, please remember, it's only a model. And it is a self-evaluation model. It's a self-evaluation model. You all have got to evaluate yourselves. Audio disturbance. Some people are complaining of audio disturbance. I'm not very sure about why it is coming. I don't see anything from my side, at least. Only a few people have answered.
Sir, small audio disturbance is there, sir. Continuously. Shivani, please check.
There's no disturbance from this side. 1 minute. Let me say, shall I see if I stop the video, if it helps?
Still it is there, sir. Still it is there. I'll ask the check the backend team, sir. You continue, sir. I'll ask them to check it, sir.
Ipo irka?
Ipo illa, sir.
Ipo illiya?
Ipo illa, sir.
Poita ipo?
Ipo illa. Ipo disturbance illa.
Maybe there is irka? Illa.
Illa, sir.
Okay, maybe there was a fan which is going close by, so maybe that's the problem. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. So thank you. Okay. Right. So it is not a standard. It is not a law. It's not a guidance note. It is just a model which has to be used. It's a self-evaluatory model. You only have to use this model. You only have to self-evaluate it. It is a question-answer session wherein you all can probably improve by answering the questions as per a particular sequence of questions have been given by the ICAI. You can just have to do this on a on a self-evaluation basis here. So you can think of this as a situation wherein you'll have these questions are going to be answered here. So don't worry about the fact that it is not an accounting standard, auditing standard, guidance note, nothing of this. It's just a model. So you can take comfort in that particular fact. Okay, all this is fine. So as I've told you all, listed entities, definitely you'll have to do it. Banks, except multi-state cooperative banks, will have to do it. Insurance companies, and they are saying that firms doing only branch audits are not covered, but I would not take exemption, or I would not take comfort in the fact that just because I'm doing 3 branches in Tamil Nadu, I'm exempt from the AQMM model. I think we need to build this into a situation wherein we are trying to answer these questions on a constant basis and trying to improve. See, this is a process. AQMM is a journey. You all will not achieve 600. The total marks given by the model is 600. You all cannot achieve 600 upon 600 in day one. It's a process. It's a journey. You all start with a few areas. See, I personally feel that human resources is an area wherein all of us, whether it's a middle firm, whether it's a large firm, whether it's a small firm, we may not be able to get all those marks in human resources. They're talking about, incentives. They're talking about paying higher salaries and whatever it may be. It may be difficult from a practical perspective from the economics of our practice itself. So my solution is going to be, to the extent it is possible, please follow it. Don't try to get 600. It may not be possible even for the large firms. So you all may have to worry about the fact that to the extent it is possible, you all please try and answer these questions here. That's all we're trying to look at from the point of view of branch audits here. Just because it's exemption scope, don't ignore the AQM. That's what I'm trying to say. There are 3 main areas which are covered in this AQM: practice management operation, human resources management, practice management, strategic or functional. The last part is only a very simple question and answer. Have you got a peer review board, peer review certificate? Are you empaneled with the RBI and C&AG? Do you have any negative comments from them? So I think that is a part of your process in your empanelment itself. So practice management, strategic and functional, I will not have too much of problems. Most of the firms who are participants in this webinar will not have too much of problems. Human resources management may not be completely applicable in a CA firm. So, again, I would answer this in a very guarded manner, because we know that dependence on article clerks is a lot for us. So we'll have to be a little bit careful about how this, human resource management is done there. There are a lot of things which are mentioned in the AQMM, and just take out to some of the main important aspects of it. I would think that in the human resource management part of the AQMM, training is a very, very significant part. I will focus only on the training aspect, because it is very, very important that the training happens for article clerks, whoever it may be. And I'm coming in reverse order. Practice management operation is again an area wherein, from the bank audit point of view, what are the documentation you're building up? I think this will be a more significant area for all of you all. So I would not rule out the possibility of doing those other things, but I will say that if at all any of you want to make a start in AQMM for bank audit, please focus only on practice management operation. Human resource management, to a large extent for CA firms, is not in our control. We have to accept it as a fact, and we have to move on with that, right? Practice management, strategic and functional, is already there in your empanelment to the CNDG and RBI. So we don't have to worry about that also. So I would only worry about the first aspect, practice management operation, wherein you've got certain element of questions and answers which have to be answered. So we will have to be a bit careful about what we do there. What are they asking in this? Practice areas of the firm, this is for the larger AQMM, not for bank audit, so we'll forget about it. But do you have quality review manuals? Do you have audit tools? Do you have monitoring of service delivery? Do you have quality control for these engagements? Do you have benchmarking of service delivery? All these things are what you will probably think of as ISO 9000 months. 9000 certification types it is. It is almost like that only. It's nothing but a certification, right? There is another important aspect which participants should remember from the point of view of bank audit and audit quality. And I'm sure that all of you will face this. The moment you get your allotment of branch audits, the moment your branches are allotted and you accept those particular branches, the pressure starts, the deadline starts, the timeline starts. Manager will call up and say, sir, can you book your tickets? Can you come tomorrow? By 4th of April, we have to give balance sheets, sir. By 5th of April, we have to give all the financial statements, sir. And here we are having a discussion about audit quality. When you all have got 4 or 5 days, 1 week, 10 days max to do the audit of a branch, how will you all monitor service? How will you do audit quality manuals? How will you do audit tools? This is a challenge which we definitely have to accept. But I mean, that could be one of the reasons why the institute has felt it is not required for branch audit right now. But at some point of time, they can certainly expect a toned down version of this particular AQMM to probably come in there. But what can you all do? In this limited time of 10-15 days and the pressure being put by the branch, what can you all do? That's why I asked the initial question, is it only about NPAs and LFAR? To a large extent, it appears that's what it is, because you will have time only for that. You won't have time for, maybe other areas. Maybe the branch is having some insurance business also. You don't have, time to check that. Definitely a challenge. There's no doubt about it at all. The way to overcome this challenge, and the way you will probably start off by doing this AQMM, is to probably not get the entire model. As I said, you all can't jump into this model right away. Maybe the next 1 week, you'll get your allotment for bank audits if you already have not got it. Then I told you the pressure starts. The last thing in your mind is going to be AQMM for you. But what I can suggest to all of you all who are participating in today's webinar is that make a commencement in one area. Make a commencement in 2 areas. That is your journey towards AQMM. I will tell you all what those 2 areas also are. Many of you are probably doing it also. I know firms who are doing it also. One is definitely training. definitely one is training which comes under the HR section of AQMM, but whoever is going to go for the branch audit, the ICAI does a lot of programs in bank audit. It is not only the partners, audit managers, article clerks, whoever you have got in your office. They all have to be a part of this mechanism of training. They have to go for these seminars. They need to get trained on how to do a bank audit. There could be issues in the core banking software. There could be issues in, application of the core banking software to specific areas. There can be a manual intervention of the core banking software in a few areas. Definite internal control problem is going to arise there. Please ensure that the training aspect happens. That is one way you all can start your AQMM journey. The second and probably more important, mechanism where you can commence it is that, again, for those firms who are having it, don't think that we are trying to, ask you all to improve your practice or whatever it may be, but please maintain one manual for bank audit in your organization. And this manual is not going to be a manual which was generated 4 or 5 years back. This should be an annual process, or only the update should be updated in the manual. It could be an old document with all the updates necessary. If you all are getting 3 branch audits, if you are getting 2 or 3 branch audits, it is necessary that you all have one audit manual for bank audit in your office. What does this manual comprise? Manual comprises RBI instructions, RBI circulars, guidance note on bank audit issued by the institute. Not the entire guidance note, because it is 800 pages long. You all cannot do 800 pages of study in 15 days of audit here. Important parts of the guidance note. What is your audit checklist which you are going to give your article clerks? What is the audit checklist you are going to give your team members? What is the plan for the audit? How do you plan for the audit? Sometimes you all may get the same branch. By coincidence, you all may get the same branch. Whether issues of last year have been resolved this year, that could be an area of operation for you to check. There are so many things which can happen. So your checklist, your audit program, and your approach to the audit will be depending upon the branch, will be depending upon what are those issues in that particular branch. So 2 areas where I would request all of you all to start your AQMM journey is definitely training and implementation, training and development, T&D as it is called, L&D or T&D as it is called. Please start off by doing that. In case you have not already done it, let everybody be involved. You all need not, it is not necessary that you should probably go for all the seminars. Go for one seminar, do something in your office. Have a small get-together in your office. All of you will discuss the bank audit. And please develop this audit manual for bank audit. If your firm is a firm which is annually getting bank audits, regularly getting bank audits, it is all the more important for you all to develop this audit manual. It need not be a repetition of the entire guidance note of the ICAI. ICAI guidance note is 800 pages long, as I told you. Out of which about 300 pages are for central statutory auditors, which means that we've got 500 pages for branch auditors. What are you all? CSA or branch auditors? Take only important aspects of it. Not all the areas would be applicable to a branch audit you are doing also. My request is going to be to you all, please develop this depending upon the audit which you all are getting. It's not depending on the firm or anything. The branch, the size of the branch, the type of advances in the branch. See, for example, if you get a branch where there are a lot of agricultural advances, your audit procedures are obviously going to be different, because there are so many schemes of the government for agriculture. There are so many benefits given for these agricultural loans. How many have been taken? How many have not been taken? So your approach is going to be very, very different. So in these 2 areas, even before I conclude the AQMM at 7 o'clock, I'm going to tell you all that please commence this journey by doing these 2 things. One of the things you will observe by this is that, and this is something which I'm 100% sure that all firms will experience this. As you all are building up this audit file or this questionnaire or this checklist, you all will find that you all get a certain amount of doubt. Did I check this last year? Did I miss this out last year? It's a very healthy doubt to have, if you ask me, because it will become a part of your audit checklist this year. That is the purpose of this AQMM, to enable you to improve on a year-on-year basis in the audit you are doing. If you don't have a doubt, that means very good. The quality has been maintained or it is improved from the previous year. But you all will develop, as you're developing the checklist, you'll notice this. You see the guidance note of the ICAI. You all will find quite a lot of details there. Maybe it's not, as I said, it's a time pressure situation. This is an audit which is being done under pressure of time. You all may not be able to give 100% what is required by the guidance note. In that limited time, what do you all do? That becomes important. Again, we'll not worry about all these things, only what is required for the bank audit. I will only speak about technology adoption here because this is an important aspect which all of you all will definitely need to know about. It can be Finacle, it can be any of these FlexCube, it can be any of those technologies which are being adopted by the branch. It is absolutely important that the branch auditor, in case there's an element of what you can say, reporting which emanates from the branch level, you should know the basic of how those reports are being generated. This is more from a point of view of internal control than trying to understand what Finacle is doing. So, or what your FlexCube is doing. We all know this from our interaction with the GST website, from our interaction with the MCA website, that technology success depends upon how well it is implemented. The success of any technology depends on how well it has been implemented. We know from MCA version 3 what is happening. So, in case there are issues in technology adoption, it can have an impact on the audit. Internal controls can be bypassed. In case you have to issue an ICFR report, it can be bypassed there. So that becomes very important. The AQMM is speaking a lot about resource planning and monitoring, employee training and development, resource turnover, compensation management, qualification employees. I'm going to ignore all of this because, as I said, every CA firm in India has got their own limitations in terms of resources. So we may not be able to score too many high marks in terms of this human resource management as far as this thing here, but we can make a progress. We can make a progress, we can start it. But that's why I'm saying the way we can start this is by starting on employee T&D first. Article clerks, managers, whoever is there in our office, please start training and developing them on. See, my concern always comes from the fact that if the article clerk does not know the provision, he will not ask the question. If he or she does not ask the question will never be asked. If the question is never asked, it will never be answered. It's a very logical way of looking at why T&D is important. Questions can be on various aspects. A branch audit today is not just going to be only limited to only additional provisioning. It was at some point of time, no longer is now. So focus only on employee training and development. And as we all know, we have always this limitation of the fact that article clerks are a revolving door. They keep coming, they keep going out, they keep churning out. The same articles may not be required, may not be available for us for every year branch audit. They've got pressures of exam, they've got their own schedule for tuition. We all face this year and out. There's nothing new for any of us. What I'm saying is nothing new. All the more reason why the new set are to be trained on bank audits. You cannot expect that the same articles will be available for you throughout. If it is there, it's a luxury, please enjoy the luxury. But if it's not there, even if it's the same article also, regulations may have changed. RBI's circulars on post-COVID morat or post-COVID restructuring have given certain guidance. Have all those guidances been followed? It is also given some option. Has that option also been taken or not taken? I will never be able to underemphasize or overemphasize the importance of training and development for the employees. Okay, this I'm going to ignore. I'm not going to talk too much about this. Very interesting situation developed by the ICAI. Previously, the second question, does the firm have a vision and mission statement? It did not have any marks. Suddenly, in the revised version of the AQMM, they've given 4 marks for vision and mission statements. So, the firm, your firm can have a vision and mission statement. You can say that, I do not know what a vision statement can possibly be, but probably to say that with the limited purpose of branch audit to do a very seamless branch audit, or do a very successful branch audit, whatever it may be, right? To specialize in bank auditing, whatever it may be. But that's, it's just a outside, beside the point remark here. It doesn't really matter for a bank audit. Okay. The go-to document, we all look at this, we all get this, we all download this, we all print this out. I don't think many of us print it out, but this is our go-to document, guidance note on audit of banks. And this has been the 12th edition or the 14th edition, I'm not sure, 12th edition, I think, given by the ICAI. And every year the size is increasing. This is only one part of it. Second part, we've got annexures and forms and all those things. Templates, as this goes back to my main question, goes back to my elementary question. We are talking about audit quality here. You have to finish the audit by April 4th. You've got an 800-page document in front of you. Advances are 200 crores. You've got 2 article clerks. How do you put all this together? How is it all going to work out together? Or the more important question probably is it going to work out? You can say that, yes, I have developed a certain expertise in branch audit. So I don't have to look at this guidance note because of the fact that I've seen all the previous 12 versions, nothing different apart from what, a few areas of changes which have come because of new regulations and all. So I am okay with this. You can say this. Perfect, no problem at all. Nothing is preventing us from agreeing with that particular statement of yours. Perfectly permitted. But as I said, this is a comprehensive document which covers all the areas of branch audit, may not necessarily be applicable to branches which you are doing. My suggestion has been, when we spoke about employee training development, I spoke about audit manuals also. My suggestion to all of you all will be that, in case it has not already been done by you all, allow somebody to go through this entire document and see what is relevant for the branch audit which you all are doing. If you are doing a branch audit, as I told you, first 300 pages, please ignore. First 300 pages will only come into play if you are a central statutory audit. If you are not, don't worry about the first 300 pages. Remaining 500 pages, you will have so many areas. Now they have also included something on GST. So a lot of these areas are going to be there. I think that what you all should probably do is that at some point of time, try to summarize this guidance note into a document which is useful for your audit firm. Because we need to face the fact that none of us are going to read the entire 800 pages or even the 500 pages. You may need to just sort of, summarize this and put a summary version for the purpose of your audit. Now the questions start. Presence of audit manuals containing the firm's methodology and ensures compliance with auditing standards. What the ICAI has done in this version 1.0 of the AQMM is that they have increased the score. Number of points also they've increased. Previously this was 4 points, now it has become 8 points. They've doubled it. So the score has become from 300, now it has become 600, maximum score you can get. The answer is yes or no. If you are saying yes, you get 8 points. If you say no, you're getting 0 points. Availability of standard formats for audit quality, like letter of engagement, representation letter, significant working papers, reports. Again, very straight, simple question. Answer is yes, 8 points. Answer is no, 0 point. Now we need to face one fact here. As audit firms who are busy throughout the year, as audit firms who have got experience, in audits over the last so many years, we are going to have a challenge in answering this question. Let me tell you why also. I will look at the second part, availability of standard formats. Letter of engagement, representation letter, working papers, reports is what they're asking for. I look at my audit file of the branch audit. I've got it. It is there in the file. Something is there, but it is not complete. It is not full. There have been some areas where, there are some gaps. We need some information from the branch. We'll probably get it in some time, but As we are looking at the file today, it is not complete. How much of marks do you want to give yourselves for that? If you are going to respond and say 8 marks, it may be difficult to justify 8 marks because you yourself are saying that something is lacking there. So maybe you should give 50%, maybe 4 marks or 5 marks, I do not know. So the key to this AQMM is not to achieve 600, not to put 8 just because 8 is the maximum marks. The key to this AQMM lies in giving an honest response for this particular question. How much ever you all may try, I can tell you all with a great degree of assurance that no audit file is 100% complete. I'm not trying to again say this in a negative way. You will always find 1-2 documents required in the audit file. So I would not want to give myself 8 marks for this. I know that I'm only at 4 or 5 level. So that is the key to this entire AQMM, giving yourself an honest answer. Audit manual. The guidance note is not the audit manual. The guidance note is one portion of the audit manual. You could have the list of RBI notifications, RBI's morat circulars, RBI's COVID circulars, ICAI's guidance on COVID-related matters. All these comprise your audit manual. It is necessary, it is important that you please keep this on record, please keep this on file. Evaluation of independence for all the engagements. We know about the borrowing limit. If you have got a borrowing, you've got a credit card of the bank, and there's a limit on the amount of credit you have got, you cannot do the branch audit. So again, many firms are talking about independence engagements, self-interest threat, familiarity threat, intimidation threat, self-review threat. All this has been discussed at length in the Code of Ethics. SIRC has done a lot of programs in the Code of Ethics. So I need not get into the nitty-gritty of what the Code of Ethics is saying. But I would definitely like to re-emphasize the fact that if at all there is an element of conflict of interest, if at all there is a question of independence being compromised in any manner, it could be through a loan you have got in that particular bank. It could be through a credit card balance you have got in the bank above the limit. It could be in the form of somebody in your family being a very key person in the bank and trying to influence decision making. I'm not saying that you all should say no to the assignment, but please evaluate your independence at that point of time. And if the independence question is answered, answer comes negative, I think you should probably inform this to the branch and say, we will not do this because of these particular reasons. Again, you are talking about the scores here. They're talking about yes or no for 4 points, 8 points. So the entire AQMM has been built on this answering of these questions, totaling up to a total of 600 points. There is another thing which we can do very effectively, what I call as the Indian way for this. You look at the first part of it. They are saying that you want a client acceptance, you want engagement acceptance checklist. Okay, I'll get one done immediately. It may not have been in the original file of yours. You'll do one independently, only for the purpose of this assignment. Still, you all can get 4 marks. I'm not saying no. But the idea behind this AQMM is to ensure that you have that as a document. Even the evaluation for independence for all the engagements. Let us say your firm has got 8 partners. Let us say your firm has got 4 managers. Let us say you are the auditors of Union Bank of India. You get 3 or 4 branches. How are you going to be sure that none of the remaining 7 partners have got an exposure to the bank in terms of credit card, loan, whatever it may be? Declaration. That is what AQMM is all about. Declaration, documentation, that's what it comes to. How do you evaluate this independence on the basis of documentation? You will have to tell them that please give me a declaration saying that you are not indebted to this particular and it does not impact your independence. Availability of standard checklist and performance and audit for compliance, auditing and accounting standards. For yes, it is 4 points. For no, it is 0 point. I told you all that checklist is a very good way to do an audit. I have no problems in having a checklist based audit. In fact, checklist has been used as a very popular method of audit for many years now. Subject to one condition. The checklist is relevant for that particular audit, and the checklist is updated every year, at least annually. Regulations may have changed. NPA provisioning norms may have changed. LFA or new points may have been added. RBI may have given some specific reporting requirements. Auditing standards may have changed. You may have new documentation standard, new standard to evaluate independence. Do not know. Most important part of checklist is that please ensure that it is updated. Not only should be updated, should also take into account what are the changes which have happened in various other regulations also, not necessarily only for the point of view of the Banking Regulation Act or the, say for example, if it's a listed company, the bank is also a listed company, you may have some regulations coming in from SEBI also. So it is important that you get a very comprehensive 360-degree view of all the regulations which are applicable to that particular bank and how that bank has started applying those, this thing. Thankfully for the ICAI, the guidance note itself gives you illustrative format of engagement letter to be sent to the appointing authority of the nationalized bank for the bank auditor. That is there. Written representation letter to be obtained to the bank management is also there. All templates have all been given in volume 2 of this particular guidance note of the on bank audit given by issued by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. It's already there. All those formats are there. Why these formats are there, and they've been there for quite some time in the guidance note now, is to enable the auditor to ensure that this documentation is obtained during the course of the audit itself. You all may get a very distant place as audit. It may be a very distant place. It may be very far away from where you all are staying or your location of your office. How do you all do that? How does one handle that? Okay, you can send it by courier. What is the guarantee it will come back by courier? Or it will come back before the branch audit is complete and you want to close your audit file, so to speak. So all these formats are there. It's important that you all get these documentation. And again, you look at these 3 things. We spoke about written representation and we spoke about letter of engagement here. I can tell you all with a certain degree of authority or certain degree of optimism that though I told you all earlier that the entire business world is changing, the way people look upon auditors is changing a lot and all these things. This is reality. We have to face it. People are asking questions. We have to answer those questions. The only thing which can save us is going to be documentation. The only thing which is going to be save us, and I think I need not emphasize enough on this particular point. The only thing which is going to save us is going to be our documentation. The representation letter given by the branch manager is a very important document for many of the judgments being made in the audit. You're obviously going to make so many judgments, so many decisions based on whatever discussions you're having. Where does it all translate to? Yes, you will have an audit file. It will be built into the audit file, be written to audit file. Conclusion may come in the audit file also. But it is also important that you get a representation, written representation of the branch manager. So that is also an important part of the branch audit. In my opinion, if you ask me, I think when let us say you're going for a branch audit for 4 days. You're going for a branch audit for, let us say, 4 days per branch, right? The 4th day morning session should be built only on, should be devoted only for one person should work only on documentation, getting all these signed by the branch manager. Once you leave the premises, you all can forget getting the signature. He may send it to you, he may not send it to you, but that's, that's a chance you don't want to take now. right? Because of the fact that this is required. Okay, these questions, we don't have any answer for the bank audit because I told you all earlier also, you have no choice but to start the audit early, end the audit as early as possible. You all can't keep thinking about capacity planning, budgeting planning. All this is not going to be possible or practically possible from a bank audit point of view. At the same time, you all should also remember one thing, that's why this discussion on audit quality is going to be important. I will give you all a hypothetical situation, which could also turn out to be practical situation also. Last year, let us say you all got an average of, or you all got 2 or 3 branches. 2 branches around 50-100 crores range. Third branch is around 200 crores range. I mean, total advances of 200 crores. So 1 of 200 crores and 2 of 50 to 100 crores. This year, the same bank has given you 1 of 600 crores and 2 of 100 crores audits. What the audit quality maturity model is trying to say is that capacity planning for each engagement means that obviously when the size of advances have gone up 3 times, the number of resources required, the number of time required for the audit is also going to go equally longer. You have 2 options, either starting early or ending later than the previous, as compared to the previous year's audit. But since most of these banks already have an end date in mind, the only option for us left is to start early. That is what AQMM is saying. If you do not have the article clerks in your office, can you take it from somebody else? Can you ask any of your former articles to come for some time only for bank audit? All these are required. This need to be done. This is where you build up, audit quality. No point in saying that I will work 24 hours a day and try to do the audit within time. It doesn't work. So if you want to do this capacity planning, you do a capacity planning for each engagement, and you will be able to get these 4 points for each engagement. Budget is not required because audit fees is done by the RBI itself, so we don't have to worry about that aspect of it. NAFRA is taking care of listed companies. FRRB is taking care of financial statements prepared by entities and giving them comments on how those financial statements have been prepared. QRB is taking care of doing audits for reviews of work done by auditors which are not NFRA and which are not given by any other regulator. The first question the AQMM is asking is that, okay, you've got 2 partners in the firm. One partner is going to one branch, other partner is going to another branch. Do you have a system of partner or quality review? Now, most of you all may be tempted to answer, no, we don't. Because where's the time again for this? Audit only becoming a company, the audit only is a challenge now. On top of it, we want partner review. Partner review can be done later also. I'm not saying it has to be done during the course of the audit itself. The audit quality maturity model is only talking about, does anybody review it? Is your documentation complete? Is your file complete? The file which you build up for bank audit should be self-explanatory. What is the meaning of self-explanatory? If your total advances are 600 crores, total provisioning in the branch is 83.45 crores. Standard assets are the rest. You should have one document in your file, or one sheet in your file, which summarizes what is the total advances, how many are NPA, how much of those NPAs have moved to a better category this current year, how many new NPAs have been added. All these things should be available in your audit file. To ensure that your quality says, okay, if you are saying that total NPA is 80.5 crores, it is there in the file. We know what those NPAs are. That is what they mean by saying quality review. You all are going to have a question, sir, what is this, sir? How we can do quality review? When the moment one branch is over, I run to the other branch. The ICAI AQMM is talking about not quality review before the audit is over. It can be done later also. That's why I told you it's a continuous process, it's a journey. Do you have any engagements wherein ICAI has given some findings. They've given some negative remarks. Previous QRBs have given some negative remarks. Previous QRBs have said firms should improve their practices. Have you got such things? If the answer is yes, what have you done about those things? SQC1, I'm not going to talk about because SQC1 is a general thing on quality control. I'm sure that many of you have done something on quality control. Even on technology adoption, you look at what is happening for technology adoption. Look at what is being asked for technology adoption here. This is all okay. All this is a part of your general technology for the article clerk completely. Full, for the entire office. Timesheet, for example. Digital library, for example. Do you have your own digital library? Or do you have storage of records digitally there? All this is overall IT controls. What are your email IDs you are using? So one of the very important things which I thought I should tell you all this, but again, it may not have much of a relevance for the immediate branch audit you are doing. This is about this email ID. So there seems to be a, say for example, many of you may be having ICAI email ID, which is very, very good. No doubt about it. But generally, a trend seems to have been emerging when suppose you're just using your Gmail ID. People simply, oh, you know what, this is his personal ID. It doesn't have an official ID. It makes a lot of sense to have an official ID. I mean, all these are, again, as I said, procedures, processes for improvement in the audit quality. Use your email ID for the purposes of, personal ID for the purpose of personal correspondence. Develop an office email ID. It can be a Gmail ID. It can also be a ICAI.org ID. Again, how are you going to use those policies? All this is for internal things, not specific to bank audit. But for bank audit, specifically on AI and ML, again, this is a question which all of you are aware of. All of you know about this Chat GPT, GPT-4. Nowadays, you ask a question, it is, giving you a response. Chat GPT will not do bank audit for you. But you can ask Chat GPT certain questions regarding bank audit, AI and ML, or machine learning, and all these things are becoming very big topics now. Do you all have the basic understanding of these things? For example, blockchain technology. Blockchain technology is supposed to be a very super safe method by which audit trails are easily maintained, because nobody can eliminate a transaction. Nobody can delete a transaction there. As all of you all know, from 1st of April, audit trails are mandated. But we are talking about audit trails in a transaction mode here. Audit trails in a transaction mode means that every transaction which is happening, audit trail has been captured in blockchain. This thing here. You all need not become blockchain experts. You all need not do course on blockchain given online. So much is not required. Look at what they are asking for. Are you equipped with technological skill sets? Do you understand what blockchain is? Because if you don't understand what blockchain is, then whatever explanation the other party is giving you will probably be acceptable. Many banks today are slowly in the process of doing this receivables management under trade receivables under blockchain, invoicing under blockchain, which means that you upload an invoice, the bank funds that invoice, bill discounting under blockchain. The bank will fund that invoice on the 45th day. You have to make the payment, otherwise the bill discounting will devolve back upon. The entire sequence is captured in this blockchain. Nobody can delete a transaction. $12 points for this. That's why they're giving a lot of, many of you may probably have also used some certain amount of software in your own office. Nowadays, the institute is giving out some various tools for software and all those things. Many of you may probably be having it in your office. Many of you may also feel it's not required. It's too big cost for me to bear. So I'm going to come down to the most popular part of the bank audit, which is NPA provision. And we are talking about all these analytical tools and all these things here. And we know about the fact that NPA provisioning is nothing but analysis of that particular account, what has happened in the previous year. For a moment, for the purpose of this discussion, let us not worry about what happened in the previous year, even assuming that your different auditor has been there. You're going to the audit for the first time, assuming that also. You've got this particular, data about a very large account, wherein a lot of transactions are there in the account. A lot of transactions. They've got multiple facilities of the branch. They've got term loan, they've got working capital, they've got, various other types of guarantees given there. LCs are there, bill discounting is there. You name it, they have it. Exposure limits also are very, very different. But branch manager says that group is a very good group, very well-known group. Little bit of delays may be there, but account is rock solid. No need to make any provisioning at all for us. No need for you even to worry about the account. In fact, don't even see the account. You can just, that is my main account. Just have a glance and you can go away tomorrow itself doing the bank audit. Bank manager is super confident of that. But let us say, for example, analytical tools you'll use. And you'll observe that most of the credits are coming in only in the last month of the year, March 23, March 22, March 21. A major part of the credits are coming only in the month of March. Whereas throughout the, from April to February, account has remained in a different category altogether. Or not many credits are coming into the account. This data analysis, this analytical tool, or if a tool is being used by the branch, can give you insight that maybe this is being done only with a view to keeping the NPA status of the account or the account out of NPA. You need not stop there. You need not stop there. If you all conclude that these credits happening only in the month of March are with a view to protecting this from going away to an NPA status, you all can go one step further and say that, is there an intention behind this? Is there a possible fraud here? Is there a possible material misstatement which can possibly happen here? Is inventory being overbooked here? Many of these lead-on questions, add-on questions will come on to you based on this one particular mega question. This is only possible through data. If you ask the bank manager, did you have any frauds during the year? He's going to say no. If you ask him, do you have any accounts wherein only credits are coming at the end of the year? Only in the month of March, he'll say maybe, but not very material. One or two, maybe it will be there. Whereas actually maybe about 20, 30 accounts. This is why data becomes important in a bank audit. Again, SIRC has been doing a lot of programs on Excel and all those techniques for how to do a bank audit using data there. I think again that's going to be a very important thing for all of you all to do. The guidance note of the ICAI itself says that you please call for the reports of the CBS environment. CBS is not the be all and end all of bank audit. It's only a core banking solution given for the branches to interact with each other and for a seamless recording of transactions across the entity. How does CBS work with accounting? How does CBS work with provisioning? How does CBS work with presentation of financial statements as per the formats given by the Banking Regulation Act? The guidance note is expecting the auditor to ask all these questions. Ask for reports of CBS. And I think the guidance note itself has given you a lot of reports which are possible in the CBS environment. You see, for example, advances snapshot, which has been covering all the important parameters. Lot of what the bank guarantees have been invoked during the period. What are the non-fund based limits which have been given to customers? List of accounts wherein the facility is not renewed or not been reviewed. What has happened to them? Should we think of a provisioning there? Upgraded accounts. This also becomes a factor there. Multiple TODs, ad hoc sanctions. Many of these reports apparently are possible in your CBS system. As an auditor or a branch auditor, it depends upon what you want and what you ask for. Most of the cases wherein CBS has been implemented, be it FlexCube, be it Finacle, or be it even a customized, bespoke accounting package for the bank, most of these reports are possible. Many of these reports are possible. It only depends on what you have to ask and how this report is being done. Having said that, I can also tell you all that this is not going to come to you in like bread and butter. It's not going to come to you in a format you want. It may give you a lot of data. You may have to further drill down data and ask a few more questions for drilling down for the data. Say, for example, I'll give you multiple customer IDs having a common PAN. Multiple customer IDs having a common PAN because multiple facilities could have been raised by the customer. You could have got multiple advances using the same PAN. This report can be because of a manual intervention error. At some point of time, the manual intervention could have happened. The intervention error could have been manual here. Credit transactions with value date without a value date. Again, the importance of value date becomes very, very important here. What is happening to those restructured accounts which have been given by the RBI? What are those accounts? What is the present status of those accounts? So what the guidance note of the institute is telling us is that statutory branch auditors can call for this information much in advance. As I said, since all of you are participating in today's program would have had some experience in branch audit, that's the reason why you are joining this program. You all know what a branch audit involves. At a very broad level, you'll know this. You all know that the branch CBS will give out this information. You all know that it can be percolated down to the level of asking for this particular information. But nowadays, what is happening is that because of this decentralization of these branches and the fact that you've got CBS, we are having a very unique situation. Loan is in one branch, documents are in another branch. Loan is in your T-Nagar branch, documentation is in some Ananagar branch. The branch manager saying, if you want to go there, you go there and see. CBS, I'll show you what is available. More things you want, you go, because that is a bespoke branch only for documentation. Specialized branch only for documentation. If you all want to follow the AQMM model completely, maybe you all should take one day out and actually go and visit that particular branch and see what is maintained there. That is what quality we are talking about there. Maybe do a test check of a few documentation. See, the end purpose of all this is very, very clear. How much ever CBS has been done, how much ever AI, ML tools are being used by the branch, how much ever technology may have developed. I mean, with all these conditions, with all these factors remaining constant, we should not forget the fact that the original concept of garbage in, garbage out still remains. What you all get from any of these platforms of AI, ML, CBS and all depends upon what you're going to give insight to it also. Your inputs, your quality of your inputs, authenticity of your inputs will drive authenticity of your outputs also. So, is your input going to be changed? Are you going to ask for additional inputs? All these are parameters we have to think about. So, my point here is going to be that, yes, you can get a lot of reports from CBS. Finacle gives you brilliant reports. But how do you analyze those reports? That requires human intervention. That requires a certain trained auditor only to do it. How do you analyze these Finacle reports? How do you analyze those FlexCube reports? Can you all ask for more questions? Can you all ask for a further, deep dive into those reports and ask for further documents? I think that is what audit quality maturity model would probably involve. You see, for example, here I read a very interesting statement. Backdated updation of stock and book debt statements. This also apparently is possible in CPEs. We all know this. Nowadays, the Companies Act and CARO is asking us to report whether the quarterly statements of stock are tying up with the books of account. Quarterly stock statements, whether they are matching with the books of account, or if not, a reconciliation has been given. What about the company is saying? They're saying, sir, how it will match, sir? I'm giving stock statement on the 20th of every month. I'm doing my accounts on 31st of every month. Definitely there'll be a difference. Difference is acceptable. Difference is permissible. Difference is required. Can that difference be reconciled is the question here. So in this backward updation of stock, you will do it only to make it match. That's the only purpose behind this backward updation. Is it being done? Apparently, CBS will give you that report. If it is there, please look at it. In fact, I'm quite sure many of you have asked this question to the branch managers. What are all the reports which are permissible by CBS? Please give us a list. Speak, if necessary, to the IT department in the head office or regional office. Ask them, what does CBS give you? There's no harm in asking this information. Again, as I said, that this is not with a view to find fault in the branch. Finding fault, you anyhow have to do. That's the work of an auditor. But can any of these data points be improved? Can any of these reports be improved? I think that is where you're getting to a situation wherein you'll have to look at this AQMM model for that purpose. As I said, I'm not going to spend too much of time on employee training and development, on human resources, but for the fact that I will re-emphasize the focus on employee training and development. We all know this. Many firms are also doing it, and I know that many firms are already doing it. It does not have to be an official training policy as what the AQMM wants. I am going to limit my discussion only for the branch audit. Appointment letter is on the way. You have to accept it and you have to start moving, because they will say 25th you come, 4th you complete. 4 branches, different locations. Travel plans have to be made. Arrangements have to be made for stay. Nowadays, post-COVID, people are traveling a lot. You all may not get accommodation also. You may not get tickets also. All these have to be thought of. I'm not worried about having a policy. My simple question to you all, as a starting for the AQMM, I'm saying, later on to develop policy and all those things. Today's discussion limit is limited only to bank audit. Get the team who is doing the bank audit together into one single room. Don't call it as a training development session, seminar and bank audit, FAQs and bank audit, or clause by clause discussion of bank audit. Don't call it any of those names. Does not really matter what you call it. If you have got 8 people who are going for the bank audit in your office, please get all the 8 people together. Just discuss what you will do for the bank audit. Document what you are going to discuss. Let one person document what you are going to discuss. Look at if there are any changes in the guidance not given by the ICAI. Look at what the branch has given instructions to the branches for implementing. That is your training and development policy for the branch audit. Put all these documents together and call it as an audit manual. Call it as bank audit manual. That is what AQMM is all about. Put this into one file and call it as audit manual, bank audit manual. That is what your AQMM is all about. So the reason why this becomes important is because the complications in branches, the level of sophistication in branches, the transactions entered into by branches are becoming unique year by year. Please remember that even the branch managers are bound to have some sales targets in mind. When I'm saying sales targets, I'm talking about advances. They will have some advances in mind. They have some targets on advances. They want to go ahead and give more advances because the head office is giving them a target to meet. So you all will have to know that newer techniques can be developed, new instruments can be developed, newer types of advances can be given there. So it is essential that your article clerks just get together and discuss, managers, partners, all get together. Just have an open discussion on what you are going to do for the bank audit and develop this audit manual, develop this audit file, whatever it may be called, and please keep it on record. How many number of audits you are doing? Please send out that one particular audit file. So if you are doing 3, or you are going to have 3 audit files. You see what are the observations given in the LFAR for, especially for review and monitoring. Again, I have pulled this out from a very old report, but again, this is something which many of you all will probably adhere to and know about this also. These are all regular comments which are being given here. All of you know about this, right? No penal interest being charged. DP limits are not being revised as per market value of shares. Age-wise breakout data is not found on record. Again, age-wise breakout data means you'll know it could have an impact on the provisioning here. So all these are observations here. Now, this is again something which has been coming in from the AQMM also. The AQMM is asking us to document all these things. We know about all these things here. The stock statements are not being received regularly. When have they been received? You may want to make a general comment in the LFAR saying that stock statements are being delayed regularly. This is what you all will probably think of saying in the LFAR. It is noticed, it has been observed that the stock statements are regularly coming delayed. Think of AQMM. How much is the delay? Is it too long in your opinion as an auditor? Because of the delay or during the course of this delay, have fresh facilities been given to the borrower? This is your valuation as an auditor. You say there's a 20 days delay in the receivable stock statements. Average delay is 20 days of time. Okay, very good. 20 days is the average delay in the stock statements. Has the branch given advances in this 20 days? If the answer is yes, think of what ICAI always says, professional skepticism. Maybe something is happening here. Maybe this is being done intentionally. Maybe there's a reason why this is happening. Try to go further, if time permitting, go and ask further questions. Otherwise, please make a blanket reference in this make a specific reference in your LFAR and try to, document what is being done. Does the firm have a balanced experience of experienced and new partners? Again, we'll not speak too much about this because it all depends upon whether you're getting new partners or what. I will ignore the last question of whistleblower policy because not required for a branch audit. But I will have to talk about the second topic. ICAI Code of Ethics is today 597 pages in length. 587 pages in length, I think. 3 volumes, ICAI Code of Ethics there. Companies Act is, they don't call it Ramayan company, they call it Brahmayan Companies Act. So much of length is there. Independence and conflict of interest. We have ICAI Code of Ethics also, we have to think of. The first question in practice management is that, are you compliant? Answer will be yes, because otherwise you'll not get the audit in the first place. So the question sort of answers itself. Do you have a peer review certificate? Just like how a peer review certificate is required or mandatory for the listed company audits, we know that having a DISA qualification is required for the purpose of branch audits. At what category is your firm with the RBI? Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3, C and H. All this, please remember, is only for the purposes of practice credentials. As I said, your firm's rating would anyhow determine the number of audits you're getting, the type of audits you're getting. Is there an advisory as well as a decision to not allow due to unsatisfactory performance by the C&H office? Now, both the C&H data and RBI data are merged now, as many of you will know. So, any adverse comments will have an impact on your branch auditors. Very dangerous situation this is. I'll tell you all why. I mean, there is at least 4 or 5 instances, at least where 4 or 5 instances happened. Because, and let's not get into the specifics of what the transaction was about. PSU undertakings, especially state government PSU undertakings, there has been a certain difference of opinion, shall I say, between the auditor and the C&AG, auditor and the management also. First of all, difference between the auditor and the management. Auditor has tried to put this in emphasis of matter or, tried to qualify the report, something has happened there. Or the auditor had previously had a qualification, she has withdrawn. Many of these things could have happened in this particular instance I'm going to talk about. But end of the day, what happened was that it turned out to be a difference of opinion between the auditor and the C&AG also. The C&AG auditors had a very different view of this particular transaction. If I'm not wrong, it was about Ind AS only, but it doesn't matter what the topic was. I think it was Ind AS, I think it was revenue from contract with customers, Ind AS 115. But I'm only talking about the CNDG aspect. Because there was a difference of opinion, what happened was it became a little bit, shall I say, uncomfortable for both the parties. Auditor was saying, I'm right, you don't know about Ind AS. CNDG is saying, I have got enough of Ind AS trainings done in my office. I know about Ind AS. You don't teach me about Ind AS. It became a very, unfortunate affair. So they agreed to disagree on this particular point. Auditor maintained his point of view. CNDG gave it in their report. Only thing in the CNDG which they probably should not have done was that they recommended this firm for being blacklisted, and thereby the firm did not even get a branch audit subsequently. That is the impact this disagreement with the CNDG can have on your branch audits. Okay, you are going to ask me a question. How do I solve this? I mean, this is going to be a very difficult question to answer, obviously. Because if you all are going to be right, and I'm sure that you all are right also, right? So you all also, as auditors with so much of experience, you will definitely have experience in Ind AS and whatever it may be, Banking Regulation Act, whatever that particular legislation is. And in a standard like Ind AS, wherein judgments are there, banking regulation where judgments are there, differences of opinion are going to be natural. It's natural to have a difference of opinion. Nothing wrong in that. My only solution to this problem would be, don't allow the situation to get out of hand, because it could have an impact on your CNDG audits. It could have an impact on your branch audit also, because both are now talking to each other, as I said. Don't allow the situation to get out of hand. Find a via media solution. Try to find a via media solution, something along the way. Try to tell CNDG, okay, you drop 1 point, I'll drop 1 point. Is there a third thing we can follow together? No, many of these things are possible. At least I've heard of 5 or 6 cases where this has happened. Once you are blacklisted, it's an humongous effort to get out of this blacklisting situation. It is not so easy at all, right? So that is something which you'll have to think about very clearly, and also be a little bit careful also about these particular aspects of this. This is about practice credentials. Any negative report of the quality review board, again, your firm could have been subject to quality review by the quality review board. Quality review could have come for 1 week, done a quality review, and done some sort of assessments could have been done, some report could have been given. Is there a negative in the report? Is there a negative in the report? Please remember that, or do not forget the fact that this is a self-evaluation model. Self-evaluation model means, you all may probably think at the back of your mind, if I don't say this, who's going to know about it? If I don't mention this, who's going to know about it? But I think the self-evaluation, model calls for, the first thing it calls for is probably a certain level of honesty. So this is what you'll have to do here. So this is what is the total possible points in the AQMM. I have not, as I told you, I've only spoken about those areas which are specific for the bank audit only for branch audit. I have not taken the entire thing account. 280 points for practice management operation. According to me, that's a very, very important aspect, very, very important part of the AQMM. 80 points for the strategic operational part 3, which we just discussed now. I'm sure many firms will score full marks in the 80 points. So don't worry about the 80 points. My concern always is going to be on the 240 points of HR. I personally feel the 240 points are too much in HR, not required so much of points. But this is an international requirement, so we just follow the international requirement. What is the rating? There are 4 levels given by the AQMM. Up to 25% in each section means rating is 1. About 25% and 50% in each section means rating is 2. What does the rating indicator also say? You are made some progress. Above 50% to 75% means rating is 3. More than 75% means rating is 4. Substantial progress has been made, but still you could have some fine areas for improvement there. I am sure as Indian Chartered Accountants will have this question. You are going to say that, sir, you just mentioned this to me. in section 1. In section 3, for example, I am 75%. Right? I'm 75% in section 3 because I've got all my peer review done, no negative comments there. I've got a clean quality review board appraisal, no disciplinary members against any of the partners. So above 75% I've got in section 3. Section 2, I've got very horrible marks because 25% will have got very, very nascent. I don't have all those requirements. What I spoke to you about is only a few questions. There are a lot of other questions also there. So I will also agree with you all that I'm a 25% category. So section 2, I'm at 25%, or level 3, I'm at this thing. Level 1, I may have made some sort of improvement there. Oh, sorry, section 1, I may have made some improvement there. I do have a audit manual for bank audit. So I may probably be at level 3 there. So what do I do? Can I merge these 3 levels and calculate an average, which is what a typical chartered accountant should probably be trying to do. But I don't think that is the intention behind this AQMM. The intention behind this AQMM is to assess yourself at each level. What is your PM practice management operational score? What is your HR score? What is your score for strategic and functional? Try to make an improvement on those individual scores. So don't try to merge, average all these things there. For example, you said that in level for section 2 HR, you're at 25%. You all may probably want to improve it to 21. I mean to level 3 or level 4 over a period of time. That may be your idea because you all may want to implement measures for this particular thing, right? Should move towards level 3, and probably level 4 should be achieved in 2 or 3 years' time. The other question we have to worry about this AQMM is that because it is a self-evaluation measure in which you have to score yourself out of the 600 marks. Another question which has to be answered is, how frequently should I do your AQMM? Should it be done every year? Should it be done once in 2 years? Because they are saying that it is going to be a part of your peer review certificate. So one possible answer you can have is that whenever peer review is that, just before the peer review, I'll do a AQMM. Because anyhow, the peer reviewer is going to ask for it. I might as well be ready for the peer reviewer to ask for it. And I will do it only at the time when the peer review is being done, or when the peer review is about to come, or just before the peer review is done. That also is a possible solution. I'm not trying to say no for that particular solution, but ideally speaking, I think what you should possibly try to do is that look at what are your weak points in the AQMM model and try to improve it on an annual basis. Don't wait for peer review once in 3 years, once in 4 years. May not be it may not be a feasible solution to wait for those 3 or 4 years. Incremental progress can be made. Definitely getting 600 is ruled out. But from 25% can I move to 35%? That's why the institute is talking about a gradual progression in the AQMM on a year-on-year basis. So I would respond to this by saying that look at this from a point of view of at least incremental progress being done every year. So try to look at the model every year and see where you all can improve. Would there be a counter check? You are putting against 8 marks for audit manuals. You are putting 5 marks. Will somebody come and say it actually has to be only 4 marks or 3 marks or 2 marks or 0 mark? Because your audit manual is not an audit manual, it's just a collection of documents. Can somebody come and question that? The response to that question is no, nobody can come and change your marks because the entire model has been built on the fact that it is a self-evaluation model. But the peer reviewer is only going to mention this in your peer review certificate. How honestly you all do the self-evaluation, that will come and reflect in your peer review certificate. Obviously, if you all say out of 600 marks, you'll have got 580. There is going to be a problem because nobody is going to get into a situation where they're going to believe this particular 580. So what I have done here is that, as I said earlier also, I will share this, this is an Excel sheet which I have prepared as per the version 1 of this particular model. How do I expand on this now? Yeah. Okay. So what I will do is I'll send this to the SIRC ID. You all can, pick it up from there. I've considered all the factors here, which are all the answers here. As I said, I've not asked all these particular answers. I've not answered all these questions also. So what I've basically done here, I can see is that you do go back to my this thing here. I've looked at what is the competency basis, what is the score criteria, which means what is the criteria which has been given for this thing, what is the score basis which has been given by the ICAI, what are the maximum points possible for that particular question. So is it, for this, for example, it's 8 marks. And here is where you all have to put in your marks. What is the self-evaluation? You'll put 5 here. And if you look at this, end of this entire thing, you'll get what is required is your total. This is a slightly detailed thing, so it requires some time to get used to also. I also am not, I have to do a cleaning up of a few columns, which I will do in some time. But you get your grand total of 600 marks, and this is your rating. And this is the rating which you have to do. And this is what the ICAI also is talking about, in their particular, AQMM, they're also talking about this. So you all can start doing this. My advice to all of you would be that, no advice, but more a suggestion. It would be that, please look at this from the point of view of, trying to answer only those questions which are relevant for you. Wait, if your Excel file is not visible, now it should be visible. Okay, let me see if it's visible now. Okay, maybe it's visible now. Now you all can see the Excel file, no?
Yes, sir, the Excel file is visible.
Is visible? Yeah, okay, right. So this is the file I'm talking about. Yeah. So I'll share this with the SIRC. You all can probably look at this. My suggestion to all of you is only going to be a very simple thing. You all will not be able to answer all these questions for the limited review of a bank audit. I'm talking about this as a journey. Start this journey. Answer only a few questions which are relevant here, and try to get this, what you all are going to get from this particular marks here. Say, for example, I'll give you all one particular example, which will make you understand what we are trying to say. For example, HR, I spoke about HR. Health insurance benefits staff and members and all. Impossible. You all will not be able to, get any marks for this question. Even the best firms will not get any marks for this question. Not required, right? Not required. So you don't have to score in every section against every question here. But if you look at why the question is there, maybe the answer is that if you all give health insurance, employees must stay for a longer period of time. So you all can keep on doing this slicing and dicing of this particular thing. But as I told you all, I think in terms of human resources, that's going to be a weak point. We are not going to get too many, marks there. For example, whistleblower policy they're talking about. In the firm, do you have a whistleblower policy? They are trying to corporatize CA practice now. Limited firm practicing somewhere in Tamil Nadu, somewhere in Kerala, somewhere in Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka. 2-3 partners, 10-12 article clerks, limited number of clients, comfortable practice, no need to get too disturbed about the practice. Why should you have a whistleblower policy? You have, say, for example, known clients. Rotation is happening to the extent possible. What is going to happen by having a whistleblower policy? You may want to have a policy for the purpose of having a policy. Is it being implemented? I think is becoming a more important question now. But as I said, my limited purpose for today's session is just to share this document with you all. I will give it to the SIRC. Please look at it from the point of view of trying to say, for example, here, there are some situations wherein it becomes a little bit more complex. Number of client disputes is negative marking. They're speaking about negative marking here. According to me, negative marking should not be there in an AQMM model because it's very, very difficult. Also, what is a client dispute? How do you define a client dispute? Can you say that disagreement on non-provisioning for an asset is a client dispute? We do not know, because these things can, take any interpretation. So I think we will have to sort of, slice and dice our answers according to this particular thing. But the purpose which I wanted to tell you all is that this file has got the entire questions, entire marks for the AQMM model. Now, the purpose of today's session has only been to talk about the AQMM for bank audit. For bank branch audit, it could be also for a bank central statutory audit. Some of the participants can also be part of central statutory auditors. The same AQMM model applies. Only thing is that you have got a greater role to play as CSAs, because not only do you have the head office audit, you also have got those top 20 branches audit. So you have a combination of all the 800 pages in your guidance note to be taken into account. AQMM is going to be the same 600 questions also. So the reason why I did not want to develop a separate AQMM model only for the purpose of bank audit. It does not matter whether it's a bank audit. I would suggest that please do this, and I think you will have to do this in 3 stages. Stage 1 is do an honest assessment of, out of the 600, what score do you have? Out of the 600, what is the score of your firm? According to me, in my opinion, best of firms will probably end up around 300 to 350. A very honest question. This is very honest, assessment. This is 300 to 350 maximum, because you all will score very high on practice management operation if you have got manuals, and you all will score very high if you have got that level 3 of 80 marks. And we'll get it. Stage 1 is doing this. Stage 2 is what? Trying to evaluate where you scored low marks. Stage 1 is honest evaluation. Okay, my score is 50%, 300 marks. Each of those categories, 100, you do have to do a separate assessment for that. Stage 2 is trying to identify which are those areas where you're weak. Human resources, you're weak. You don't have a policy for health insurance of your employees. Do you want to do a policy? Do you want to take out a small policy? Do you want to think about it? Because you do get 4 marks in the AQMM for that. Answer is no. Answer is no. Answer is yes. You may want to try to implement it. So, as I said, maybe from 350 you will go to 400 next year. 450, you will never reach 600. That's a definite thing. That is the intention behind this model. The intention behind this model is only to make incremental progress here. So don't worry about answering all these questions for the purpose of bank or branch audit, because it will be irrelevant. It will not be necessary also. You don't have to answer, for example, utilization of time, which I spoke about here. Monitoring planned hours versus actual hours. Impossible. Already branch manager has already planned maximum hours for you. He's already told you what is your maximum hours you can do. AQMM is not going to come and save you there. Branch manager has told you that 5th of April, I'm going to give the report. I'm going to go on leave immediately. I will not be available from 6th of April, March morning. So that is your planned as the actual as. AQMM may not help you in that. But to the extent possible, kindly, the idea is only that to the extent possible, you all will have to apply this particular AQMM model for the purpose of getting some sort of a comfort about what to do for this particular bank audit. So as I told you all, I will share this with the SIRC and members who have, some members can also have my email ID later on. In case you want it, I can send both to you by, email also. So to conclude what we have been talking about today here, what do you do for bank branch audits starting next week? One stance which many of you all can take this, any audit is not applicable. I really don't have time for this. We'll do it later on. NAO sir has sent me this PowerPoint and Excel sheet. Let the branch audit be over. Then I will start this Excel sheet. Slowly I'll fill it up. That's one option you all can take. Option 2 is I will not look at my score. I will implement it to the extent possible. I'll make a start. This is a journey. I will say, okay, today I'm at 50. Doesn't really matter. I'm at 70, 100, doesn't really matter. It is not, no marks, no gold medal, no certificates, nothing here. It's only a model. Please remember that. I keep on emphasizing it's only a model. Models can change. Don't worry about the score you're going to get in this. My suggestion to all of you all would be, please choose the second option. Make a start right now. it does not matter what score it is, but it is important to make a start, because you would find areas wherein you all can have certain level of improvement. Your focus areas in a branch audit should only be on maintaining this checklist, manuals, audit documentation, and conclusions. I would re-emphasize the importance of these conclusions. Conclusion for NPA provisioning, conclusion for documentation, conclusion for, in case there are controls which you feel are being overridden, or in case you feel that there is something in the LFR which requires a further emphasis, or in case you need to highlight something to the central statutory auditor, or in case you feel that there is some important point which you have to worry about and you want to highlight this somewhere. All this should be the focus of your. So when we spoke about audit manuals, practice manual operation, when you spoke about those things, this is going to be, my suggestion is going to be, start with these things. In these 4 things also, I'm sure that all of you are maintaining documentation. But what is important is this conclusion. You may not have this. If you have it, well and good. If you do not have it, please ensure that those conclusions are reached. Because during the course of a bank audit, during the course of a branch audit, during the course of a central statutory audit, so many questions are asked and so many responses are given. Not everything happens on email. You may have some document which has been received. For example, the latest stock statement has been received. Not documented, may not be documented. You may feel a provisioning is required there. So please reach the conclusion. Why did you not do a provisioning? Because latest stock statement has been received there. I think this is how you gradually build audit quality, by reaching or making. See, this conclusions need not be for all the advances you are checking. Please remember that also. You don't have to do this for all the advances. 10 advances, major advances, advances about 10 crores of rupees. You choose your category. You choose what area you want to get into. You choose what you have to choose there, and then make a necessary, what you can say, this thing there. So basically, I think this is what I wanted to talk to you all about for the purpose of this AQMM for branch audit. So as I said, I will share this presentation. Already the DLH have said that they'll upload this on their digital learning site. But we still have about 10 or 12 minutes time. So, in case you all have got any specific questions, I would be happy to answer those questions here. Because, my email ID also is here, and you can definitely ask me at any point of time. But if there are any specific questions, we'll take it. Otherwise, Arun sir, I'll hand it over back to you.
So I think the questions are then and there your answer, no, sir?
Correct.
Then and there your answer. So few member asking about the PPT and think that it is going to be uploaded tomorrow in the digital learning hub, sir. So those who are all record for this, they can download it from there.
The Excel file is also a part of the PPT. They can see it in the PPT itself.
Yeah, sir. Yeah, sir.
Is peer review mandatory for concurrent audit, sir? Kalpana has asked this question. Peer review mandatory for concurrent audit? It is not mandatory, but they can come. They will definitely come at some point of time. So right now, as we are speaking today, only for concurrent audits, peer review is not mandatory, but they will definitely expand the scope. As I told you, Kalpana ji, what is happening today is that QRB is becoming more and more active for other cases. So they will definitely ensure that you'll get a peer review for the concurrent audit. So it's only a question of time. May not be right now, but soon it's going to happen. Okay. No other questions, I think.
So members, is there any other questions? Or can we conclude the session? Okay, sir. Can we conclude the session, sir? Thank you, sir. Thank you for your presentation on quality, audit quality management. So I think it will give you a lot of insight to the members regarding their practice. So what needs to be maintained, what are all the requirements for the audit quality model, everything. So thank you, sir. Thank you once again, and also I thank the participant. I think almost even still 201 participant is there in online. So it shows the eagerness to learn audit quality model, everything, sir.
Hopefully,
Thank
hopefully.
you, Anand, sir. Hopefully.
Thank you very much.
The future, even everybody is concentrating on now the quality, sir. They required any quality model review board. That is why the audit review board and everything is coming to the picture now, sir.
Correct. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
It is a need of our all too. So thank you, sir. Thank you for your presentation as well as for all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.